I will be in Atlanta on Thursday speaking at the Business of Sports Summit put on by the Atlanta Business Chronicle. If you plan to be there, please say hello. And this is your morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, June 24th. I'm Abe Madkour. A new era begins at the International Olympic Committee today, Tuesday, as President Kirsty Coventry begins her 8-year term leading the organization. My colleague Rachel Axon, who covers the Olympic sports better than anybody from the business side, expects Coventry to move quickly to really reshape the organization. So who is she? Well, Coventry is 41. She is a 7-time Olympic medalist in swimming for Zimbabwe. She is the first female and first African president of the IOC. She's had a 3-month transition since her election in March, and Rachel Axon shared 3 possible focuses for Coventry's first couple of months on the job. First, commercial evolution. So the IOC makes up about 90% of its overall revenue from broadcast and sponsorship deals. But we all know those deals aren't going to be the same in the future. So the IOC can't be idle. She has to bring some new ideas and approaches when it comes to media and sponsorship. 2, for Coventry, diplomacy. These are difficult, tense times around the world, and she will have to navigate issues around Russia, which remains banned for its invasion of Ukraine. Also, President Trump's travel bans and visa restrictions, those could impact LA 28, and that is something Coventry will have to work through. 3, the future of the Winter Games. There are just going to be fewer and fewer sites able to host the Winter Games and be climate feasible. So yes, they'll have the 26 Winter Games in Milan Cortina, the 30 games in the French Alps, 34 games in Salt Lake City, and Switzerland is the preferred candidate for the 2038 Winter Games, but many believe the IOC will eventually look to rotate Winter Games between a small number of host cities, so she'll have to focus on that. Coventry succeeds Thomas Bach, the 71-year-old German lawyer who was an Olympic champion in fencing in 1976. So he leaves the post after the maximum 12 years in office. And he really gave everything he could to the IOC and the Olympic Games. And in this week's issue of SBJ, Rachel Axon looks at Bach's legacy. It's our cover story, and he really brought stability and newfound credibility to the IOC and the Olympic movement, but a certain big change around the future of the IOC begins today with a new president. The NBA got what it needed, a Game 7 on Sunday night, and that game averaged more than 16 million viewers on ABC, and with that, it keeps the overall average viewers for the NBA Finals above 10 million for the complete series. Sunday's game was the most watched NBA game since the clinching Game 6 of the Finals in 2019. But while Game 7 on Sunday had 16.4 million viewers, for comparison's sake, and this may not be even fair, but Cavaliers-Warriors Game 7, 2016, that did 31 million viewers on a Sunday night. It just shows the changing media landscape we're living in 2025. Let's look big picture. Overall, the 7-game Thunder Pacers series averaged 10.3 million viewers. That was down 9% from last year's Celtics-Mavericks finals, and it is the least watched finals since the pandemic years of 2020 and 21. Beyond those years, this year's final, the least watched since the Spurs beat the Cavs in 2007. So again, we talk about viewership all the time. I don't think the NBA is staying awake at night sweating these numbers. They have long-term media security. Their new deals start next year. But this was a certain year where the teams, for whatever reason, didn't have great national, I would say, relevance and interest. And so that is reflected in the numbers. SBJ's Austin Garp breaks it all down in the SBJ Media newsletter and on sportsbusinessjournal.com. So if you want more analysis, Austin has it for you. We talked about looking ahead to next season. NBC Sports named Maria Taylor to be its lead NBA studio host for its coverage. That'll start in October. She'll host the studio programs on Sunday and Tuesday night. Remember, they brought on Carmelo Anthony and Vince Carter, so a new look in NBA coverage this fall. You know, Liberty Media continues to invest in motorsports. 1 week before the new F1 the movie opens, Liberty is moving closer to taking over MotoGP. And this comes more than a year after the deal was first announced. There was a lot of regulatory issues that needed to be sorted through. Liberty is said to be acquiring more than 80% of a Spanish company called Dorna that owns MotoGP. Liberty will pay more than $4 billion. And now look for Liberty to focus on expanding MotoGP around the world. Everybody I have spoken with close to this deal believes that they have a great product, speed, technology, energy. It's global, but the product has not hit its true commercial potential. Many people are betting hard that MotoGP will find an audience, and they will work very hard to get into new markets, especially the United States. They want to increase TV viewership. They want to get more sponsors. So remember what Liberty Media did around F1. They'll try to bring that same successful playbook to MotoGP, and that deal with Liberty expected to close in the coming days, and that will be a new era for this sport that many feel is one of the most undervalued in the world. You know, when I started in the sports business in 1994, the general wisdom was that stadiums and arenas had a 30-year shelf life before decisions would need to be made on the future of those buildings. Today, that shelf life has been reduced. Some buildings are 20 years old and get renovated or raised, but the investments in buildings across America continues. And while it approaches its 25th birthday, Nationwide Arena in Columbus will get a major renovation that will keep the home of the Columbus Blue Jackets up to date as it looks to continue to host major sports events. So this building is owned by the county. The county will invest at least $400 million in upgrades and expansions to the arena. The arena cost $175 million when it opened in 2000. So this construction will be spread out over the next 4 or 5 years, beginning at the earliest next season. Now, funding hasn't been announced, but it will be a mix of a private-public partnership, and Nationwide Arena has really been an economic driver in downtown Columbus, which really showcased one of the first major mixed-use developments a long time ago. The city is an active sports destination. They host a number of NCAA tournaments. They're always in the mix for the basketball tournament. So that is why, after 25 years, the county is looking for a refresh of Nationwide Arena and looking to invest more than $400 million in that project. New York Jets owner Woody Johnson, he is getting into the Premier League. Yes, he has bought into the Premier League club Crystal Palace. Now, he'll be a minority partner in a deal believed to be worth close to $250 million. That's his investment. Now, the team will still be led by Chairman Steve Parrish and original U.S. investors Josh Harris and David Blitzer. Crystal Palace has long been part of Harris and Blitzer's sports portfolio. And Parrish, Harris, and Blitzer will continue to lead the club, but now Woody Johnson is on board as a partner. Now, Woody Johnson's always been interested in the Premier League. He made a failed bid to buy Chelsea years ago. Remember, he served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom for about 4 years, from 17 to 21. Woody Johnson, 78, of course, is the owner of the New York Jets, now looking to take some interest in the Premier League. And finally, we'll end with this. The new look Pac-12 has a new media deal, 5-year deal, with CBS Sports that will see the network take on a significant portion of the conference's football and men's basketball broadcast rights. It'll start next year in 2026. Now, the Pac-12 will remain in the market for other partners. It will have likely 3 or 4 media partners, but this shows continued rebuilding of the Pac-12 under Commissioner Teresa Gould, and this is not an easy job. And the league remains in the process of adding an 8th football playing member, and the new look Pac-12 will have schools that many may not recognize. They, of course, will have original members Oregon State and Washington State, but they have new teams from the Mountain West like Fresno State, Utah State, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State. Gonzaga, of course, will be a non-football playing member, so the new look Pac-12 does have a media deal with CBS starting next year, but still, the conference has some work to do, but it's heading in the right direction. Finally, an SBJ programming note, SBJ On Stage takes you back to Tech Week this past March, where NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman shares how the NHL is modernizing its business. He talks about how the league is leaning into technology, and that's on SBJ On Stage, featuring NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, available now on SBJ's YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast. And so that is your morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, June 24th. I'm Abe Madkour. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy. Be good to each other. I'll speak to you tomorrow.